Hello again, folks. It's Kevin Williamson. I'm the planning manager, consultant, and trainer here at Tepco Solutions in Baytown, Texas. Today on Tips and Tricks, we're going to be talking about logistics planning in 3 phases. And we'll discuss the importance of putting a good plan together. And why plan logistics? Well, they're one of the most significant parts of a turnaround's cost. If you're going to underestimate or fail to forecast the needs and costs, it's going to result in contingency and budget cost overruns, and we don't want that. Now, by creating and validating a good logistics plan early on, we can eliminate underestimating and omitting the important and expensive details that we're going to talk a lot about. Okay, what happens early on is the turnaround management team, they're going to appoint logistics coordinator or coordinators, depending on the size of the event, to manage the event needs such as tools, equipment, housing, communications, temporary power. Now, this list goes on, and we're going to talk a lot about it in this session. Now, logistics like planning and scheduling for a turnaround event should include a written premise. The premise will be a guide to manage the specific items that the logistics coordinator or coordinators are going to be responsible for. And it'll also help depict when the items should arrive on site and when they should be removed from the site. And they'll help identify items that are often omitted or neglected, and we can do that in the form of a checklist that we use for our planning. Also, project and turnaround integration is often a major challenge when it comes to logistics, cost allocation, and future reconciliation of those costs. Now, you can watch my upcoming video on project turnaround integration. That's going to help you eliminate those issues. But let's talk about a few factors that need to be considered when we're going to select a logistics coordinator or coordinators, that they have a general knowledge of major turnarounds and capital projects integration processes, because they're going to be communicating with both the maintenance and turnaround departments and the projects departments who operate on a little different scale. Okay, and they also need to have specific experience on the turnaround logistics, coordination, good interdepartmental communication skills, because they talk to everyone, and the ability to work and delegate within these structured processes and practices, and good computer program knowledge for ordering and tracking all the material and hot shots and all these other things that are going to be required by our logistics. And they need to manage multiple vendors, tasks, and personnel all at the same time. It needs to be a motivated person that requires minimal supervision, and they need to be able to overcome obstacles and utilize different resources and be good communicators. Just to name a few, and there are other things that are requirements, but let's move forward here. Now, I want to talk about the checklist that I mentioned before, the logistics pre-turnaround. And the pre-turnaround is the busiest time for logistics, getting the event set up. We have so much to consider when we're going to set up an event prior to the folks getting there. We're going to need to put a budgetary estimate together in advance for the overall event budgeting. And I recommend that you use our checklists to make sure that you have all these things so we can get a good budgetary estimate to present to management for the cost of our logistics for the event. Now, we're also going to have those guys and gals be responsible to distribute an editable plot map for placement of all temporary turnaround needs, where we're going to put it, how many we need. And then the coordinator is also responsible to get quotes for specific training, facility needs, porta-cans, how many do we need, where do we need to put them, hand wash stations at those porta-can sites, at the turnstiles, do we need separate turnstiles, what kind of badging do we need, what kind of manpower do we need to create these badges, drinking water locations, how many, where's the source of the clean water, where are the cleaning station for the drinking water containers, and who's the personnel that's going to take care of this? Do we need to build pedestals and stands for this drinking water? What about our household trash at the lunch tent and other areas? What about the containment, disposal, and personnel to handle those needs? Requirements for our parking arrangements out in the parking lot. Do we need to do some civil work early on? How about mowing? What about barricading? We're going to need a guard shack out there? Traffic control needs, the police, signage and things like that. What do we need for our traffic control? What about busing needs from that parking lot in and out? and we have to create bus routes and unloading points and loading points. How many, where? We're going to get quotes to set up our blast resistant modules if it's that type of facility. Where are we going to put them? And then once we get our BRM set, then we got to determine our contractor needs, such as what are their communication needs, electrical needs, data port needs. Do they need printers, computers? What about their truck needs? How many of their trucks are we going to allow in the facility? What about van needs to run personnel around the facility? Transport truck needs for heavy equipment and things like that. Determine the number and obtain quotes for golf carts and buggies, transportation, field radio, lunch tent benches and sizing, and then the lunch tent climate control. If it's that time of year, we certainly need to control the climate in the lunch tent. What about vending machines? Are we going to allow vending machines in the lunch tents, microwave ovens for the folks to heat up their lunches? Safety meeting PA systems. This is often overlooked, and you don't want to end up in there trying to make a safety meeting presentation and having to scream over several hundred people. What about consignment needs and locations? Eye wash stations, temporary eye wash stations. What about hard hat stickers or other signage or job tags? Waste disposal, waste containment, naturally occurring radiation containment disposal. Who are we going to hire to help us monitor and dispose of this waste? Cool down stations. What time of year is it? Is it hot? We don't want to overheat our guys and gals. Now, we need to obtain quotes also for confined space climate control needs. Permit shacks. We don't want hundreds or dozens and dozens of people lining up in the control room to get permits. Do we need to build shacks outside of the control room? What about clean and dirty rooms if it's that type of facility? Setting up breathing air. Do we use facility breathing air? Or do we run breathing air hoses and hire a company to provide the breathing air? Natural gas purging, locations to set those up. Erect fencing around the material storage areas so nothing comes up missing. Material trailer placement. How many material trailers? Where are we going to put them? Crane needs and the footprint locations of the cranes. The distribution material laydown areas. Where is that going to be? The matting needs to prevent landscape damage, forklifts, man lifts, carry decks. How many light plants are we going to need? Portable pump needs, air compressors, fuel delivery, vendor quantities. This list goes on, and we're still in the pre-turnaround phase, guys. You can understand a lot of these items are missed, and a lot of these items end up very costly on the back end. Okay, where are we going to put our scrap metal? Do we want to separate stainless, carbon, or other alloys? Do we want different dumpsters for those? What about our welding facilities? We're going to set up temporary welding facilities. What about the gases we need to do the welding? Welding machine needs, the tool room needs and placements of the tool room, insulation storage areas, scaffold material laydown areas. And then we talk a lot here about different scaffolding that you need for pre-turnaround logistics outside the lunch tent to put your hard hats and your lunch boxes on. Do we need staircases around the tool rooms? What about other safety walkways? Hydroblast pads, temporary blast pads often need blast walls. Breathing air bottle watch covers to keep those folks out of the rain. Insulation fabrication areas for the metal. I mean, this list goes on and on. There's miscellaneous. Perform daily field walks and perform to identify safety concerns, challenges, or issues regarding logistics, containment berm needs. So finally, we got all that taken care of. It's planned, it's estimated. Let's move into the turnaround portion of the event here. So phase 2 is the turnaround event itself, logistics. Now you'll see here that mostly what we're doing is maintaining. We have to attend schedule update meetings. Then we have to maintain porta can and hand wash needs, the trash containment needs, maintaining parking lot, spot checking, making sure that all of our fuels needs are met. And then we have to maintain signage and all the other things that we put into place pre-turnaround. We have to maintain these things. And it's an effort in the field by your coordinators to go out and identify and make sure that we have what we need where we need it. Job descriptions may move, the number of people may move, and we may need to allow more porta cans or fewer porta cans, or we may have other issues, containment issues that we need to maintain, and stay in constant communication with our coordinators and contractors to make sure that we have what we need when we need it during the turnaround event. Okay, so we finally got the turnaround done for the most part, but here we're moving to the post turnaround. And at this point, you can see that what we're doing here is we're off renting and we're removing things. So the logistics portion of a turnaround event, it doesn't end until the very last day. And you can go through this list at your own leisure to identify these things to be done post turnaround, but you'll notice the very last thing here is to perform landscape repair as needed. A lot of the facilities you go into, they're very proud of their landscaping and they're very proud of their white rocks. If it's damaged, it's going to have to be repaired. But these are just a few of the things that you will come across post turnaround. There are other things, and your coordinators have to be on the ball to make sure that they're communicating well with everyone to make sure things are coming off rent when they need to come off rent, and keeping things on site when you still need those things. Now, it's important that the coordinators communicate with the contractors and the other coordinators, the mechanical coordinators, to make sure they're not off renting things that we still need on the site. Okay, now that's logistics planning, tips and tricks. For more information about tips and tricks, you guys can call or come by the office. We would love to sit down with you and discuss what your needs are and how we can provide solutions all the way across the board for your turnaround solution needs. And it was good visiting with you, and I hope to see you on our next one, project and turnaround integration. So stay tuned, guys. Until then, see ya.